Can we ask why now the Oregon governor is mandating mask wearing outside regardless of your vaccination status? Because we believe in following the science, right? I mean, we either do or we don't. And the science can't be determined by what a bureaucrat or a politician says on, that they're fluid on their position.
She's denying science by saying how effective they are in order to make this policy happen.
Mm-hmm. So what is the science then if it's arbitrary as to what the science is that we're supposed to follow? That's the $1 million question. I'm telling you, just wear 6 feet of masks. Just stay inside, drink all of your drinks, and eat all of your food through your face mask. This is dumb. I keep seeing this. I saw this one study that everybody's like, I see some conservatives promoting this. And it's this study that suggests that somehow even some Republicans are, they would like for people to just go ahead and get their vaccines because they're tired of the lockdowns, et cetera, et cetera. I keep seeing people like tweet this stuff out. There was one study that was put out and it said Republicans lean slightly negative towards people who are unvaccinated. And others were saying that in real America, like people are upset if people are not going out and taking advantage of getting vaccinated, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see that. And I don't necessarily think I'm going to trust the collected information of an entity that is paid to cold call people and ask them such a question that is even more polarizing than would you wear a red MAGA hat? I don't trust that because one of the things that we've seen before is what? People aren't going to tell you stuff on polls like this. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. So just so you know, I think that, and the bullying tactics aren't going to work. And I will, again, and I say this because I feel like this does not come out as sincere as I want it to. People are not anti-vaccine for a political position. I think that is such a limited, myopic position to take on this. That is the laziest analysis that anyone could provide in this discussion, is that people who are hesitant to take this or who even oppose it do so strictly on political grounds. First off, if they do, that is their right. Anyone who believes that the government has the right to force you to imbibe, consume, or inject anything or wear anything on your person can forfeit their conservative status. The end. This is not up for discussion. You either are or you aren't cognizant of the basic principles of liberty. Secondly, by and large, everyone that I have spoken to, that I have seen online, and you can say it's anecdotal, but anecdotal to people who are living the anecdote is truth. They just want answers. And don't tell me that everything's been answered. Unless you can show me, for instance, any kind of comparison of individuals who have had previous organ tissue inflammation and how they would otherwise healthy, how they would react to something where there are, it's rare, but it's widely reported, issues of myo and pericarditis. Unless you can point to any kind of genetic marker, any kind of study that has been done that would determine whether or not they're otherwise healthy individuals that previously dealt with that are predisposed to having this as an adverse reaction to the vaccine, or if you can answer any of those questions related to those issues, then you can say that your question has been answered. But unless you can produce said question, shut up and answer for question. Tired of it. What about natural immunity? Right? No one wants to have a discussion about natural immunity. Why is it that one of my friends was turned away from a business because they could not prove their vaccination status because they literally had coronavirus? We're not going to have that conversation? There's other questions, but don't say that things have been answered when they haven't been. I get that some people who identify as conservatives are just ready to wash their hands of it and they want to give up the fight. And thankfully, we didn't have all of those people comprising the liberty movement back during the days of the War of Independence. Otherwise, we would have the Queen on our coinage. There are questions. And we have every right. People have every right to be as hesitant as possible. It's a luxury, I understand, for some to not have to worry about any other adverse reactions, but not everyone is in that boat. I understand that some have the luxury of not having to look at a 6-figure medical bill, if there is one. It might be rare to you, but for the person paying the 6 figures, I guarantee it doesn't feel very rare to them. And don't sit here and tell me that there are accommodations for those people. I actually went and looked up the law, and do you realize that in the past 18 years, it's only paid out 6 times? Oh, and additionally, it's very, very difficult to access that fund, and it's very, very limited in terms of the monies that it actually does pay out. I wrote a whole piece up on my Substack. So before you lecture me about it, why don't you go and read what I wrote, and you can crib some of my points to try to use them against me, because that's how well prepared some of these people usually are. We just have questions. And I get really sassy about this because people who do not share the information that you have, just because you're unwilling to make your private health information, you shouldn't have to sit here and tell someone your life story just to justify your hesitation or your genuine concern. Look, if the government was not disingenuous and they had not shifted goalposts and done all this stuff from the get-go, I think that they would find it a lot easier. But I'm not going to have this victim blaming. And you do not have any obligation to tell your private life story to someone to justify your position. How rude are some of these lifeless people? They don't have enough going on in their days that they need to know all of your business too. How sad. Maybe they could curate their own life instead of trying to appropriate yours by learning your medical history to justify whether or not your opinion on vaccinations is warranted or is credible. Thankfully, that's what a free society is that you don't have to have that kind of justification. And it's no one's damn business. And if people were as limited government as they say they are, they wouldn't have a problem with it either. But you're seeing the extent, as to some conservatives, how far that stretch of individual liberty goes.